I've resisted the temptation thus far to discuss any potential fixes or remedies to the safety rating or driver standards system, but it's become such a common topic of discussion in the discords I'm in, the videos I watch, and any iRacing community you care to think of, that I'm going to have to contribute my 5 cents to the discussion. I've refrained from commenting so far because if there's one thing that we've learned from 18 years of iRacing existing, it is that they are incredibly unlikely to make any changes to any processes or rules they have. The only time I've seen them react to make changes to improve things of this nature are usually when embarrassing things happen in very public, high-profile events. Think of instances like the whole top split mowing the lawns at the Spa 24-hour race, the burnouts and tyre cheesing in qualifying for both Porsche Pro Series and Coke Series races, or the Williams team's collective efforts at the Daytona 24-hour race. Those collective embarrassments spurred immediate change, despite all of those issues being known for quite some time and iRacing being told about these issues by a number of competitors. There have been 2 very minor changes to the safety rating system over the years from what I can work out. Originally you could not fast track through the licenses. Promotions were only handled at the end of each season, so it could take you a year to go from rookie license to an A license. The other minor tweak was a change on short track oval or dirt oval, where those tracks went from 2 corners per lap to 4 corners per lap. To me that makes sense, as the tracks are identical in shape to larger ovals that have 4 corners per lap, so the length of the lap shouldn't affect how many corners it has. Aside from those 2 changes, you could join the game nearly 20 years ago and be immediately up to speed with how safety rating works and how safe you need to be in order to achieve certain license levels. In the time since iRacing started, you can barely go a day without someone piping up on the forums, either bemoaning how safety rating works or providing their genius answer for quote-unquote solving the safety rating issue. I'm well aware that I'm not a genius and that what I suggest will not fix everything, and I'm even more well aware that iRacing will not watch this and say to themselves, "Hey, that guy's got a point, let's make those changes he suggested." But I'm hearing of so many people that are tearing their hair out in officials, so many that are moving to AI racing or downloading other sims to try, that surely putting some ideas forward for discussion might stir something up. If enough traction comes from enough views and enough of the higher profile iRacing YouTubers continue discussing the issue, then maybe we might effect some change. Some of the ideas I will discuss are mine. Some are what I have seen and heard from others when these issues have been discussed during my time in the community, so I'm not taking credit for these suggestions, and I also can't credit anyone else, as I've heard them a variety of places and can't remember who said what and when. I'm also not recommending all of them at once, that would likely be overkill, but some version of something from the following list would likely help clean things up a bit. I know I'll also get some comments saying that I'm either being elitist or that I'm making the game too hard with most of the ideas I'm proposing. In the real world, if you drive with little regard for other people, there are very serious financial and physical health consequences from crashing into other cars all the time. None of what I'm about to suggest has anything to do with how fast you are, just how respectful and courteous towards other drivers you are. This is as close to real racing as a lot of us will get, and we should be able to treat it as such. Starting off, I'd go back to only 1 fast track promotion per season. That means if you're in D class at the start of the season, you can fast track to C, but cannot progress any further before the end of the season. I would still enable the ability to get promoted at the end of the season, so you might be eligible to run B class at the start of the following season. Part of the reasoning for this is it will keep people in rookie or D class for longer when they start on the service. This is where there are lower powered cars, shorter series, and should be where people do their development and gaining experience instead of flying through the licenses in a few days and then piloting a car in an IMSA or Formula One race and being a hazard to everything. Promotion at the end of the season needs to be raised to 4.0. 3.0 is too low a barrier for me for promotion. It is not hard to get to 4.0 in any license, and this should be the requirement to move up at the end of the season. Safety rating should apply to open practice sessions, but agree to a potentially reduced rate like time trials. The open practice sessions take the place of the real-world test days that happen. At those real-life test days, everyone is very cautious with their cars, looking after them both mechanically and physically, and looking to stay out of the way of others who are working on completely different programs, e.g. qualifying pace versus long-run pace, or testing different setup or car tweaks, etc. There is no reason for iRacing open practice sessions to be any different to those, and it will allow people to gather safety rating while getting up to speed, and also reward people for showing respect to others on track. Hopefully this behaviour then filters through to the race sessions. If people don't know the track or car at all, they are still able to conduct a test drive and essentially book the track for themselves in order to learn. We're not removing that feature or suggesting that. I would also suggest safety rating needs to become stricter. This will need some trial and error, maybe starting with a 50% increase in corners per incident per license level. It might end up at 80%, it might end up at 20%, but at present it is far too easy to maintain an A license. And for those reckless souls who get demoted to a B or possibly even a C license, it's then far too easy to race back up to an A license. The consensus from all corners of the iRacing community at the moment is that the races contain too many incidents. If we move the needle on corners per incident and enforce more caution among racers, we will all likely have cleaner races, and those that fancy themselves as the next Senna will be terrorising C or D class series for most of their career, leaving higher license series for those who want proper racing. Next points are even more controversial. I can't be the world's most boring sim racer all the time. For me, demotions will happen if you go below 2.0 rather than 1.0. You will also be able to be demoted from a D-class license back to rookie. Should this happen, you go back to a rookie 2.50 and you start your safety rating career again. There is no excuse for going below D 2.0, and at that point you need to go back to the beginning and start again. Now that we can see other drivers' iRating and safety rating in races via the iRacing UI, I think there is room to create a special license for the super safe driver, just to signify to the others on the grid that here is a guy who doesn't even know who Senna is, let alone the famous quote of, "If gap, car." Maybe an S license for safety, or maybe they could call it a J license for Justin Krasniewski, who is the all-time safest driver on the service. I'm not sure what the parameters should be, but possibly if you have been in excess of A 4.0 for 4 or 8 or 10 seasons or something, you graduate to the J license. Even higher corner per incident levels apply to this license, and if you drop below a J 3.0, you will go back to your A license. This idea for a license won't have any impact on driving standards, as the people towards this end of the spectrum aren't causing problems, but there is a tiny sliver of a possibility that it will incentivize people to be tidier drivers, and you might get more people to drive like Justin. A split of safety rating, like we have for iRating on the road racing side of things. One safety rating would be your contact rating, and the other would be an off-track rating. Potentially you could be great at one and terrible at the other, and knowing which is which could be very useful to know when you line up next to someone on the grid. One hopes that iRacing is able to extract the data on how many incident points are caused for off-tracks and how many for spins or contact, and then scale the corners per incident point accordingly to have them apply to us the same as they do currently. Will hopefully provide us with better data on ourselves and show us what it is we need to tidy up if we want to stay in our current license or move forward to higher levels. It will also show to others in the race whether you're a corner cutter or if you've got a habit of using the car in front of you as a brake pedal. I've already done a video covering off how to maintain a 4.99 in every license, and I am able to manage this while living in upside down land with high ping. It can be done, but I also see no reason why we can't incentivize people further to drive with care and respect on track. It creates far more enjoyable racing and a better atmosphere for all concerned. Who knows, we might even see gentlemanly driving filter through from the sim to the real world. Wouldn't that be something? Please let me hear all of your ideas and thoughts in the comments below. It'd be nice to hear more opinions on what we can do to incentivize good behaviour on the sim. I'd also like to thank you for the support and positive comments that my videos have been getting. I genuinely hope I am helping some of you either improve or understand a bit more about the game and how to have a more enjoyable experience. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.